Hi, Kim Rayner here from All About Spirits Life After Cancer, and I want to welcome you to this week's episode of Life After Cancer. And, when we get a cancer diagnosis, it impacts every aspect of our lives, our spiritual life, our physical life. It impacts our intuition. There's so much change that goes on. It impacts our emotions, our social life. And I created Life After Cancer because when I was finished with my cancer, my active treatment, I was looking for help and couldn't find it. Not the kind of help that I was looking for. So each week I produce an episode of Life After Cancer where I share some tools and tips that I found helpful along the way. And this week's episode is about bad doctor's appointments, having bad doctor's appointments. And it was born out of having bad doctor's appointments this week. I had a dentist appointment on the same day that I had a doctor's appointment, and I usually like to try and schedule them at the same time just because I can get all that stuff over with at once then. And what happened was my dentist said, you need to have 2 new crowns, and they were really rushed and in a hurry, and they didn't have a lot of time to spend to explain, how have things changed and what is it that actually needs to be done here. So that left me a little unsettled. And from there, I went to my doctor's appointment, and this is for my annual checkup with my primary care physician. And, I walked in the door and the doctor was running behind. So she was 20 minutes late before they took me back into the room. And the young gal who was taking the intake questions was asking me questions, and she was talking so fast that I couldn't even understand what she was saying. And I said, honey, you need to slow down because I can't even understand what you're saying. And she said, well, we're really far behind and we're really busy today. And it's like, okay, I appreciate that, and I will do my best to walk through this process quickly with you, but I can't do that if I can't even understand what you're saying. And she said, okay. So she tried to slow down to ask me the questions. And, she's asking me, do you have railings? Do you have rugs, throw rugs on your floor? Do you cook your own food? Do you have problems taking your medications? And all of those questions that bring me back to my days of active treatment. So she came in and we finished our work. And then I sat in the room for a little while and I waited for my primary care physician to come in. And she's been my doctor, for more than 10 years. And I have never had an experience with her where I felt rushed and hurried. And she was talking so fast as we were going through the process. And she didn't want to do a pelvic exam for me. Now, I'm an ovarian cancer survivor, and I get a little concerned about tests and stuff like that. And she said, well, you don't really need one anymore because they removed your ovaries and your uterus, and there's no reason for you to have a pelvic exam. And it's like, okay, if that's really the case. And then, we talked a little more, and she said, oh, well, maybe we could do one for this. And it's like, okay. So she ended up doing the pelvic exam, really hurried. And then she talked to me about, getting a flu shot and getting the pneumonia shot and the tetanus shot and all of the other shots that they want you to get. And I historically, don't do those just because I'm not a big shot person. So she finished, and then the next gal came in, and I was due for a mammogram, and my oncologist, whose clinic was bought by a major hospital in the community that I live in, they used to take care of my mammograms, and they always did the imaging in the oncology clinic. And when they were bought by the new clinic, they don't do that anymore. So my oncologist said that I need to have it done by my primary care physician. And my primary care physician said, oh yeah, now that they don't make money on it, they don't want to do the mammograms. And I'm thinking, okay, it's your hospital that owns this practice today. So I'm not sure what that's all about, but okay. And so I was just left with this really itchy, scratchy feeling. So I finished with my primary care physician. And then the scheduling person who's going to schedule my mammogram calls or comes into the room. And she too is talking so fast. And she says, she's trying to schedule the mammogram. And I said, what is going on? You guys are all flying around here like you're on speed. What is happening with you people today? And she says, oh, we're just really far behind. And I said, I appreciate that, but I have to tell you, sitting in my chair, this is more than a little bit unsettling. It's pretty uncomfortable for me. And, she slowed down and she tried to do her best. And the way it turned out, I can't get a mammogram until January of 2019, which means now that my mammogram schedule and my doctor's appointments are off schedule. And they wanted to schedule my follow-up for next year. And she says, well, you could wait until it'll push it back till 2020 for you to have a mammogram, or we need to change your regular scheduled appointments. And it's like, all right, this is just all weird. And then they were talking about, my insurance maybe covering things, maybe not covering things. And then I needed to check on my insurance and find out. And it said, oh, well, you guys don't do that anymore. And she's like, no, there's way too many different kinds of insurance for us to do that. So there's this whole whirlwind of activity that was going on that just really made me feel uncomfortable. And when I walked out of there, I felt like crying. I had never felt like a number walking through the medical process. And I felt like, man, I'm really grateful that I had my cancer 10 years ago before things got to be really crazy like this. And as the day went on for me, it really set the tone for how things unfolded for me. There was this restlessness, this irritability, this sense of unsettledness. And what I really found was, I don't want to be around people. I don't want to be in a place where I have to be nice to anybody, where I have to consider anybody else's feelings. I feel like I want to draw in my energy, and I want to take care of myself. I want to be kind to myself. I want to be outside where it's fresh and the air is clean and easy to breathe, and where I feel some compassion and feel some connection to Mother Earth, because I didn't feel connected to anybody that I was working with in the whole medical thing yesterday. And then, as my day was unpacking, I know that working in the dirt is a huge way to help me be grounded. So I spent time in contemplation and just looking around my yard and my environment and being grateful for things that I have in my life. And that started to soften my energy. And then I remembered a tool that my sister gave me about relieving anxiety or starting to release stress. And I don't actually know what the name of the tool is called, but I'll share it. I'll look it up and I'll share it in the show notes when I actually post the show notes. And what you do is you take your left hand and you put your thumb and your forefinger together. And then you take your right hand and you enclose your thumb and your forefinger, and you very gently hold your thumb and your forefinger together. And that closes some kind of an energy circuit within your body. And then, very slowly, you breathe in to the count of 4. And you breathe out to the count of 5. And if you're not already doing it, I invite you to hold your left thumb and forefinger in your right hand and do the breathing technique with me. And as you breathe in, notice what happens in your body. And as you breathe out, notice the tension leaving your body. And this is a tool that I have used for all sorts of things throughout time. I use it when I am anxious or stressed out. Sometimes I use it when I'm having digestive issues, which is why my sister gave it to me in the first place, and to relieve anxiety. So that is a really great tool if you are feeling stressed. And one of the things that I like about it the most is that I can take that and I can do it in any situation. If I'm in a meeting with people where I'm feeling uncomfortable, I can do that. I can do the breathing technique. I can hold my fingers in my left hand, my left fingers in my right hand, and I can just breathe, and nobody can see that I'm doing that. It relaxes me, it makes me feel peaceful, and it was really helpful for me. So This is a great little tool tip technique that I use, and it came on the heels of a bad doctor's appointment. And when I go into the next uncomfortable situation, I'm going to remember this, and I'm actually going to do it before I walk in the door. I'll start doing it before I have to meet any of those people. So I hope that you found something in this show that was helpful and useful to you. If you did, I hope that you'll like it and share it with other people. If you have questions on how to practice that mudra, my invitation is for you to give me a call or shoot me a text, send me a message in the show notes below, and I'm happy to share the information with you on how to use this mudra and lots of other ones. So I hope that you found something useful here. And if you did, like I said, share the information. And I hope that life treats you well. Go ahead and make it a great day.